In September 1997, millions of listeners heard something that, to this day, sounds like a scene from a forbidden archive. A man calls into Coast to Coast AM claiming to be a former Area 51 employee. His voice trembles. He cries, gasps, and repeats that he doesn't have much time. He claims that the beings that people call aliens are not what they claim to be. That they don't come from a distant planet, but from another dimension. That they have infiltrated the government, and that something is coming that society is not prepared for. But just as she begins to reveal the most important thing, the line goes dead. And not only that, the entire national radio broadcast disappears from the air. An accidental technical glitch, a panicked actor, or was someone really listening and decided to stop the conversation before the truth was told? This happens on September 11th, 1997. Art Bell broadcasts his nightly Coast to Coast AM show from his home in Pahrump, Nevada. Millions of listeners nationwide tune in. Tonight he opens the special line for Area 51, a number intended for people who claim to have access to secret government programs. Most calls are calm and prepared. People talk about classified projects, underground facilities, and strange sightings. But this caller is different. He doesn't sound like someone who has a story prepared. He's gasping, his voice cracking, and he seems extremely scared. He introduces himself as a former Area 51 employee, released on medical grounds just a week earlier. He says he's on the run and doesn't have much time. He says they'll be able to track his location soon. Then he starts to say something even more disturbing. He claims that the creatures that people call aliens do not actually come from another planet. According to him, they are extra-dimensional beings who have infiltrated military and government structures at the highest levels. He warns that the government knows about impending disasters. According to him, the population will be evacuated from the big cities, but not to be saved. On the contrary, the large population centers should have been left to be destroyed. Art Bell tries to calm him down and get him to speak more slowly. But the man is panicking. He sounds like someone who believes his life is in imminent danger. And just as he starts to say the most important thing, the connection is cut off. But it's not just the phone call that's cut off. The entire show disappears from the air. Coast to Coast, AM is broadcast via satellite to hundreds of radio stations across America. The system is robust, professional, and built with redundant protections. Such outages are rare, but just when the caller is about to reveal something specific, the satellite connection goes down. Millions of listeners suddenly hear silence. Art Bell checks his equipment and contacts the technical team. It turns out that the ground station lost contact with the satellite. The reason is not clear. For some, it is just an incredible coincidence. For others, it's proof that someone intentionally stopped the conversation. After the show returned to air, the case has already become a legend. The recording began to spread through cassettes, forums, and early internet communities. People listened to it over and over again, analyzing every word, every breath, and the exact moment the signal fades out. A few weeks later, another man calls the show and claims to be the original caller. He says it was all a hoax and that he's just an actor who got carried away. But many listeners don't believe him. His voice sounds similar, but not quite the same. The panic of the first call is missing. The rhythm is different. The words sound calmer, almost like a pre-prepared explanation. This is how new questions are born. Was the second caller the real person? Was he forced to recant? Or was someone else sent to cover up the story? The most difficult detail to explain remains the satellite crash. A voice can be played, a story can be made up. But a complete interruption of a national radio broadcast, right at the moment of a supposed revelation, is much harder to ignore. To this day, this case remains one of the strangest moments in the history of paranormal radio. Maybe it was a hoax with incredibly precise timing. Maybe a technical failure that happened at the most inopportune second. Or maybe someone was actually listening and decided to hang up before the caller said too much. The fear in the man's voice sounds real. Or is this one of the best performances in the history of radio? But the fact remains that at the very moment of the most important revelation, the satellite signal is interrupted. It could be an accident, It could be a technical failure, or maybe someone was actually listening. The following story takes us to the Mojave Desert, California, in the year 1997. More than 20 kilometers from the nearest paved road, in the middle of the desert, stands a simple telephone booth. It once served miners and workers, but the mine has long since closed. However, the phone still works. A man named Godfrey Doc Daniels discovers the number and begins calling every day. For a long time, no one answers. Then one day, the line went busy. Someone had used the phone. Soon Daniels created a website and published the number. The challenge is simple. Ring a bell in the desert and see if anyone picks up. The internet is falling in love with the idea. People from all over the world start calling. London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Australia, Africa. The phone rings day and night in the middle of the desert. Then people start traveling to the booth just to be on the other side and answer the calls. The cabin becomes a strange meeting place for complete strangers. People pick up the phone and talk to someone on the other side of the world. The conversations often become personal. Some share secrets they would never tell their loved ones, but not all calls are normal. Visitors report static, a low electrical hum, and voices that don't sound quite human. One man claims that he picked up the phone in the middle of the night and heard a whisper, "I see you." He looked around, but there was no one around. Only desert, darkness, and silence. Other visitors report strange lights in the sky, unexplained vibrations in the ground, and a feeling that the cabin is connected to something deeper beneath the desert. For some, it was simply a forgotten telephone line. For others, it was a portal, an antenna, or a place that attracted attention from something inhuman. For 3 years, the phone booth in Mojave has been ringing almost non-stop. On May 17, 2000, Pacific Bell sent a team into the desert. The cabin has been removed, the concrete base has been destroyed, and the line has been cut off. The official reason is environmental damage from the many visitors. The number disappears. Later, someone places a tombstone in the spot, as if the cabin was a living being, and it is removed. But people continue to visit the site. Some claim that even after the cabin was removed, they sometimes hear a faint telephone ringing coming from the empty desert. In 2013, the old number was restored through an internet phone service. So, strangers start talking to strangers again, even though the booth itself is no longer there. The story remains a strange symbol of the early internet, a time when a forgotten place in the middle of nowhere could become a myth. And somewhere under the sand, at least according to legend, something is still waiting for a signal. The next case begins in October 1996 in the Cascade Mountains, Washington State. Dr. Jonathan Reed is on a hike with his dog Susie when the forest suddenly becomes unusually quiet. A moment later, the dog rushes into the bushes. Reed hears a noise, then a scream. He grabs a branch and runs toward the sound. In a small clearing, he sees something that, according to his story, changes his life forever. A black triangular object silently hovers above the ground. Below him stands a small gray creature. Reed believes it is holding the remains of his dog. In a panic, he swings the branch and hits the creature. It falls motionless to the ground. Reed stands over it, unable to understand what he sees. The creature does not look human. According to him, he is short, with gray skin, large dark eyes, and a body that looks both biological and almost artificial. He claims to have realized something terrifying at that moment. If his story is true, he had just killed a being that did not belong to this world. Then Reed realizes he needs proof. He can't just leave the body in the woods. If he does, it may disappear, be taken away, or he himself may later be convinced that it was all a hallucination. So, he wraps the creature in an emergency blanket from his backpack, carries it to his car, and takes it home. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't call the hospital. He doesn't tell anyone. Instead, he puts the body in his freezer. Then he starts documenting everything. He photographs the creature from different angles and records video footage. According to Reed, the creature wasn't dead. It was recovering. He claims he heard its screams not with his ears, but directly in his mind. At the meeting place, he also finds a strange black object, which he calls the Bond. According to him, when he carried it, he could feel the creature's thoughts, fear, and anger. Shortly after, Reed claims that armed men broke into his home. According to his story, they destroyed some of the evidence, and his identity began to disappear from official records. University transcripts, professional licenses, and personal records can no longer be verified. Later, he appears on Coast to Coast AM, where he tells his story and plays audio that he claims is the creature's scream. The case of Jonathan Reed remains highly controversial. Skeptics believe the video shows a puppet and the story is a hoax. They point out that his qualifications cannot be verified, the location of the meeting has not been proven, and the physical evidence has never been independently confirmed. But supporters of the story point to the details, the descriptions of the creature, the strange smell, the alleged telepathic screams, and the video. If this is a hoax, it's an exceptionally well-executed one. If it's not, then Reed brought home something that was never meant to be seen by anyone. And that's what makes the case so disturbing. Not the crash, not the forest, not even the creature itself. And the thought that something completely inexplicable could end up in the most ordinary place, in a person's home, behind the door, in a freezer. Thank you to everyone who stuck with me until the very end. Today we went through 3 strange stories. The panicked call to Art Bell, the phone booth in the Mojave Desert, and the mysterious case of Jonathan Reed. Each of them leaves the same question. Where does the hoax end? Where does the legend begin? And is it possible that sometimes behind the most incredible stories, there is something real? Write your opinion in the comments. Which of these stories do you find the most mysterious? If you want to watch more similar mysteries and unexplained stories, click on one of the 2 videos that will appear shortly at the top of the screen. I'm sure you'll find them just as interesting. If you like the video, support the channel with a like, subscribe, and press the bell. Share the video with friends who love UFOs, mysteries, and hidden stories. Thank you for your trust and time. Until the next story.